Hi everyone, this is Duranda with Foods 101, and today I have a YouTube request. I have a request to make chocolate chip cookies. And to make this cookie, we're going to start with 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. We have 3/4 cup of light brown packed sugar, 3/4 cups of white sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and this is a 1/2 teaspoon of salt here in this bowl. I have a teaspoon of vanilla here, 3/4 cups of unsalted butter, and 1/4 cup of all vegetable shortening. Now, the reason I add the shortening in with this chocolate chip cookie is when the chocolate chip cookies are baking, the shortening gives it a nice extra crunch, which I really love in the chocolate chip cookie. And here's the star of the show, the chocolate chips. Now, I've used pretty large chocolate chips, so I've got about 1.5 cups here. If you'd like, you can use 2 cups if the chocolate chips are a little smaller than these. But as you can see, that's a pretty big chocolate chip, which is yummy, yummy. And then I'm going to add black walnuts. I'm going to bake half these cookies using just chocolate chips in the dough, but the last half of the dough, I'm going to have chocolate chips and black walnuts. Now, you can use macadamia, you can use English walnuts or pecans, or you can strictly just leave them out. That'll be up to you. So let's get this cookie started. In a large mixing bowl, we're going to cream together our butter, shortening, and the white sugar, and the brown sugar. And I'm going to just use an electric mixer to get all this cream together. Okay? I've creamed my butter and my sugars together till it's really light and airy. Now, you can use your KitchenAid if you'd like. I just chose to use a hand mixer. And now to this, we're going to add the vanilla and the 1 egg. And go ahead and mix this in until it also becomes light and airy. And remember to scrape down the sides of your bowl as well. I've got my butter, shortening, sugars, and my egg and vanilla well incorporated. Now, we don't need this mixer anymore because we're going to fold in the flour and the soda and the salt and the chocolate chips. So, get yourself a nice sturdy wooden spoon or nice sturdy spoon. Look how nice and airy that is. Woo, it's going to be a good chocolate chip cookie. Now we're going to add all-purpose flour. I just add mine into a bowl with the soda and the salt. And I take a whisk and I just incorporate these 3 ingredients. That way when you mix it into the cookie, sometimes if you don't do this, you could take a bite of your cookie and get a big bite of baking soda in it, and it's just not very pleasant. Okay, so you can just put those together and then just pour half of it in and mix well with your spoon. Alright, now I've got half the flour mixture incorporated into our shortenings and sugars and vanilla and egg. And now I'm just adding the rest of the flour, and then you're going to incorporate this well too. I mean, it's getting there. It can take some muscle work, but believe me, it's well worth it. Alrighty. Just keep stirring it together until it starts pulling away from the sides of the bowl. That way you know you've got all the dry ingredients mixed in well. This is what you want your dough, your cookie dough looking like before you add the chocolate chips. And you can also give your wooden spoon a nice little scraping down to make sure there's nothing stuck on it that doesn't need to be there. Alright, now for the chocolate chips. Just add them in and stir them well. And also make sure your oven's preheating to 375 degrees Fahrenheit because these are going to go into the oven and bake for about 8 to 10 minutes. I mean, rule of thumb, before I start a recipe and it's going to bake, I usually get that oven turned on before I start putting my ingredients together. Alright, these are ready for the cookie sheet. And over here, I do have a cookie sheet lined with parchment paper. And that way the cookies aren't going to stick to my cookie tray, but it's really not necessary to line your cookie sheet with parchment paper. And I always stress that, so don't feel like you really need to do that. And I take teaspoonfuls of cookies and I just put them right here onto the cookie sheet. Oops, I don't know if you can see that, but here's what your cookies should look like before going into the oven. I have them about 2 inches apart. That way when they start to bake and spread out, they're not going to run into each other. Okay, off to the oven for 8 to 10 minutes. Preheated to 375. I'll see. I'm down to a half of my cookie dough left, and I'm adding in my black walnuts, and I'm going to stir those in very nicely. I've already scooped out another 12 cookies on another cookie sheet, as you can see right here, and I'm going to put those in the oven when I get my first batch out. Now, this cookie dough should make about 4 dozen cookies, but I am making my cookies a little larger than 1 tablespoon of dough, so I'll probably have maybe 3.5 dozen. Alright, here's my first batch of chocolate chip cookies that I baked. Now, you want to let them cool on the pan for about 5 to 10 minutes before you transfer them to the cooling rack that I'm cooling them on here underneath here. And so then I'll show you how to transfer. Right, my cookies have cooled for about 7 minutes, and sometimes you may get them sticking together like right here. Let me get the cooling rack underneath. Okay. But you may get some stuck together right here, and if so, just take your spatula to separate it, and then off with the cookies. They come off very beautifully. And if you're not using parchment paper and you're just baking on a cookie sheet, it's not necessary to grease your cookie sheet. So do not grease your cookie sheet because your cookies will slide right off. Alright, then we'll put them on here, and you want these to cool down to room temperature, and if there's any left, you can. Just for you, I wanted to show you that I've baked a batch of these cookies on my baking pan without parchment paper, and I want to show you, I didn't grease my pan, but I want to show you how nicely they come right off. So be sure to go ahead and bake them on an ungreased pan. You see how lovely they just pop right off? Alright, there you go. They smell wonderful. Here's my chocolate chip cookie. Here's the cookie with just the chocolate chip, and listen to how it crunches. See, that's what that all vegetable shortening will do. Let me give them a try. Nice, flaky. Absolutely delicious. Okay, now let's try the ones that have the walnuts. This one has the black walnuts, and I took those out of the oven last, so the chocolate is pretty melty. Let's give that a try. Nice, crunchy, chocolatey, and of course chocolate and walnuts is a winning combination for me. Alright, hope you all give this a try. Thanks for watching. Until next time, this is Deronda with Foods 101. Yummy.